Yeah, I've got to record first. There's a Midwestern kid that we will reveal later that grew up idolizing and looking up to Michael Jordan. He wanted to be like Mike because he believed Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player he had seen and believed in his greatness on the court so much that he wanted to wear his number 23. Michael Jordan is at the center of the NBA's GOAT, or greatest of all time, debate. And today I'm going to persuade you that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I'm not alone in this sentiment, as a Fox 2019 article explains a poll that was given to 122 anonymous NBA players. And in this poll, 73% of them agreed that Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. And this gives me credibility along with the additional research that I have conducted on the topic. You should listen to me talk today because it'll make you smarter and understand this debate that's at the forefront of the NBA during this NBA 75th anniversary season. First, I will lay out the problem. Next, I will tell you what's causing those problems. And then I will give you my solution. And finally, I will tell you what the opposition thinks. Now that you know I'm going to persuade you that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, let's first start with the problem. Problem is that the NBA has had a lot of great players over its 75-year history, which makes it difficult to narrow down a greatest. If you spend any time on NBA Twitter, or if you have seen the Fox Sports 1 show, Undisputed, you will quickly realize that people disagree about who is the greatest. And there are many great candidates for being the greatest, which is described by Bobby Marks, a former Brooklyn Nets front office worker and current NBA insider, in a 2020 ESPN article about the GOAT, when he says that I've got 10 on my list for discussion, which this shows that there are many capable players of taking the top spot in people's minds. Additionally, the NBA is not like the 100-meter sprint, meaning there's not one metric that you can look at to determine the greatest. Instead, you have to weigh multiple criteria against itself and against each other to determine the greatest. Now that you see some problems with the debate, let's talk about what's causing those problems. A cause of those problems of trying to discern the GOAT is that the NBA game is changing. Because of rule changes and strategy changes, it is difficult to compare current players to players of past decades. An example that shows this is John Schumann in a 2021 NBA.com article when he writes about the three-point revolution and says that an 11th straight jump in three-point rate is likely. This increase in the use of three-pointers shows one aspect of how the game is changing, which is making it increasingly more difficult to compare current and past players. Additionally, players have different roles and positions, and their team asks them to do different things. So them having different responsibilities for their team makes them seen in different ways by people determining who is the greatest. Now that I've discussed the causes, here's my proposed solution. My solution is to accept Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player of all time, because he is the total package and fits many of the criteria you would look for in the greatest player. And let's first start with his mentality. Michael Jordan is known as one of the fiercest competitors of all time and would do whatever it took to win and overcome his obstacles. This was highlighted in a Ball is Life article by David Ostremkis in 2018 when talking about Jordan's emotional Father's Day in 1996. On the left, you see Michael Jordan celebrating his first championship win with his father, James Jordon. And on the right is Jordan crying after winning his fourth championship in 1996. But these are different tears that are being displayed as in the first photo. Between these two photos, James Jordon, Michael's father, was murdered in an armed robbery. And this led Jordan to take a hiatus away from the sport before finally returning, and then in his first full season back, winning the championship in 1996 on Father's Day. This very emotional experience for Jordan showed his mental toughness and ability to overcome obstacles. Additionally, Jordan's mental toughness led to accolades and success on the court. David Sabino, in a 2009 Sports Illustrated issue, discussed some of these statistics for Jordan, such as Jordan's 10 scoring titles, which is still a NBA record, and Jordan's 9 all defensive team selections as well. This shows Jordan's abilities on both the offensive and defensive ends of the court. Additionally, Jordan was a winner as he had 6 NBA Finals MVPs, which is still a record to go along with his 6 NBA championships. Jordan's mentality, accolades, and winning shows why he is the greatest of all time. Now that I've discussed my solution, let's see what the opposition believes. The main opposition against Jordan being the greatest is LeBron James being the greatest. And LeBron James is a great basketball player who has had an illustrious career. However, I believe he falls short of Jordan. LeBron fans will point to LeBron's longevity as a reason why he is better. And because of LeBron's longevity, he has accrued stats such as more total points than Jordan and more playoff points than Jordan. However, this does not make up the difference between Jordan and LeBron in my eyes because of LeBron's lack of championship success compared to Jordan. Vincent Davis, in a 2017 New York Amsterdam News article, discusses this comparison when saying, first, you must start the conversation with Jordan's 6 championship rings. And I agree with this sentiment, as Jordan's 6 championship rings is currently 2 more than LeBron has. And I do not believe LeBron's statistical accumulation of stats that he has achieved, although very impressive, does not make up the difference between him and Jordan in this championship aspect. Now that you know what the opposition thinks, let's recap what I've discussed today. I've discussed the NBA's GOAT debate and why Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. First, I presented the problem, and next, I told you what causes those problems. And then I gave my solution to this problem, and finally I told you what the opposition believes. That young kid that we met earlier from the Midwest is actually LeBron James, who grew up idolizing Michael Jordan and believed in Jordan's greatness enough to wear number 23 because of Jordan. LeBron did a great job of being like Mike, however, there will never be another Michael Jordan. I urge you to accept what young LeBron James accepted and accept that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time.